One thing that a lot of people have been talking about ever since the release of Star Wars The Force Awakens was, of course, Rey's lineage. This is Mike Zero here. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, I wanted to look specifically at Episode 9. We do know that both J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio are doing big things for the character of Rey. They are changing certain elements of the character, and they will be giving her a very important lineage in this movie that will actually leave the fans satisfied with the actual choice made for this movie. Now, looking at both J.J. and Rian Johnson here, we do know that J.J. had an initial plan for Rey that unfortunately did not make it to the final cut of the overall sequel trilogy because he did not get to do Episode 8. That's where Rian Johnson came into play and introduced the idea of making Rey essentially a nobody as well as her parents. Now, a lot of people have been wondering exactly how could she be related to both Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader and or Luke Skywalker. And I wanted to look at one of the scenes in The Force Awakens. Now, there is a crazy way that they could make her related to Luke Skywalker without her actually being, from both the parents of Luke and, of course, his wife. A lot of people have been wondering if Luke ever had a wife, and as far as we know, Luke never did. In The Last Jedi novelization, it goes over Luke imagining that lifestyle of having a wife by his side on Tatooine, but that was just a dream. So, if she wasn't born through Luke's wife, there are other ways that we can make her related to both Luke Skywalker and Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader. And I wanted to look at the use of cloning in Episode 9. And a lot of people, I would have to say, probably are not going to like this idea. But if you look at The Force Awakens, the original opening of The Force Awakens, which was ultimately scrapped, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but the original opening had Luke Skywalker's hand gripped onto the lightsaber that eventually fell down to the surface of Jakku. Now, we do know that Emperor Palpatine had a huge interest in the planet Jakku itself. And there are a lot of secrets on Jakku that is, of course, connected to the Empire as well. I think that the crazy way that they could make this work for Rey being related to both Darth Vader and, of course, Luke Skywalker is that they explain, number one, how Maz Kanata came across the Skywalker lightsaber. Perhaps it was on Jakku all this time. And if they really wanted to, they could somehow incorporate that original opening of The Force Awakens where Luke's hand is gripped onto the Skywalker lightsaber that falls down to the surface of Jakku, where Emperor Palpatine had a huge interest in Jakku, eventually comes across Luke's severed hand and is able to manipulate the DNA to bring out Rey or many others into the Star Wars franchise that are somehow related to the Skywalker bloodline, which would also explain as to why she has the Jedi skills like the Jedi mind trick, the use of a lightsaber, her great aim with a blaster, just all these different things that she's able to pick up like that. Now, with that being said, I think that the whole entire concept of introducing cloning in Episode 9 is a fantastic idea. We've been hearing about all these different rumors about Matt Smith portraying a younger version of Emperor Palpatine in Episode 9, and it did raise a huge interest, for sure. Exactly why would he be playing a younger version of Emperor Palpatine in Episode 9? Would it really make sense? To me, the only way it would really make sense is, of course, A, he is a clone, or B, it's in the form of a flashback to explain bigger events in the Star Wars franchise. Now, the other thing here is that it could also be a great way of explaining as to why the Skywalker lightsaber called to Rey specifically. I think that there's a deep reason as to why it called to her. There are some questions in The Force Awakens that were left unanswered. One of the big ones was, of course, exactly how did Maz Kanata come across the Skywalker lightsaber? And I believe that there could very well be a huge connection to Jakku. You see, the initial plan was that JJ wanted to explain that the Skywalker lightsaber actually headed over to the Jakku surface, and that's where Luke Skywalker's severed hand would also be. And that could also be a connection to what we read in the Aftermath novels, which I won't get into any spoilers, But maybe Palpatine came across Luke's severed hand and realized that it was a Skywalker lightsaber and kind of gave him the idea that his apprentice Darth Vader was the one responsible for essentially chopping that hand off, and he could manipulate the DNA in order to create another powerful user in the actual galaxy itself. So anyways, guys, I would really love to hear your opinion about all of this below in the comments. Is this too outlandish for you? Does this sound so ridiculous? Or would this actually work in the Star Wars franchise? We do know that they did this in the EU, Star Wars Legends, where Palpatine used Luke's severed hand in order to create another Luke. But what if they take that concept and just use it in order to create just another Force-sensitive individual that is just as powerful as a Luke Skywalker? Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.